Welcome to Open Invite, where open minds meet open mics.
This episode is brought to you by North Texas Remodeling. More on that soon. I'm your host, Jonathan.
And I'm your guest, Andrew.
They didn't think we could do it again.
Round 2.
But now we're back.
We're back, baby.
All right. One of the first things that I wanted to bring up to you was that me and my brother were going to go to this place called Cosm over here in, I think it's in Frisco. It's that place that I told you about for the UFC fights. You know
the place with the really big screen?
Yeah. And so they are playing The Matrix. And so we bought tickets to it because, as you know, Matrix, goated movie. But what they've done is they've partnered with this like company called Little Cinema. And so the way that this theater works, it's like it's a big orb, right? And so the audience is like looking up into like this big orb that's kind of surrounding you. And so what they've done is they've placed the movie on that orb, but they didn't stretch it all the way out. Instead, what they did was they designed around the movie to immerse you further into the actual frame. And so anytime that there's something like, you know, whenever they're overlooking the people farm, where, like all those pods. Yeah. So like that world extends outward. And so they've done that to the whole movie.
So it's kind of like a picture-in-picture thing?
So you know how they have those things on TVs where like they put a little camera up front and then like the colors of whatever's on screen are kind of flashing behind the TV.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that with a purpose. Like it extends the world. It's not just colors.
Okay.
And so it's not meant to distract you like those kind of are.
Yeah.
I don't really like them. I don't like how they look. It's like there's too much going on.
Right.
But with this, it's literally an extension of the world. And so it's going to be super cool.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. The Matrix is such a good movie, man. Such a good movie.
Goated.
Yeah. The whole perception versus reality thing. What's your kind of take on that?
Dude, I had a conversation with Katie Bug in one of the comments of the controversy clip that we posted on Instagram. And she asked, do you think we live in a simulation? And I was like, making the case against it, you know, because there was like that old thing from Jordan Peterson when he said that like pain is unavoidable. Like when you feel it, like you know it, no one can tell you you didn't feel it. And so there's just something about that concept that makes me feel like we don't live in a simulation. But I don't know. There's videos online of people glitching out. What do you think?
For me, it's going to be more of a balanced take. So,
as always,
a lot of people have heard the phrase perception is reality, right? And I understand that. I understand how that's true, that the way that you take in the things around you shapes how you view your experience. And at least when I'm talking about reality, I like to talk about objective reality. Yeah. The thing that is observable by multiple people and that pretty much everybody can agree on that this is actually happening.
But you're saying that if like the way that you take in the world, like that wouldn't be objective, no? That would be subjective?
So there's this school of thought in philosophy called indirect realism, which is essentially that the real world exists and we acknowledge that that is a thing. However, because of human perception, we're not able to 100% accurately perceive that objective reality. And so things like science allow us to get closer to that, but we can never truly perceive the objective reality because we have biases and flaws in our senses.
Is this kind of like that thing where people say, what if you see blue differently than I see blue?
Kind of like that, yeah. But like there's real world examples of hallucinations, right? Rainbows, the way that they arc, like that's not a real thing because they go on forever. You can't get to the end of a rainbow. There's things like heat waves, you know, whenever you're looking at the pavement and then that little wiggle happens, that squiggle. So we're constantly perceiving things, but our senses can be fooled. Or have you ever gotten a phantom vibration?
Oh, yes.
They don't happen. Yeah. But to you, it felt real. You swear that your phone was in your pocket and you felt it buzz. And then turns out your phone's not even in your pocket.
So there's different types of things. I was thinking more of like, what are those people called that like, they see things? It's fugazi, it's fugazi, it's wazi, it's a woozy. You know what I'm talking about?
Clairvoyance?
No. The people who can see things that we're not seeing and they're crazy.
Oh, schizophrenics?
Schizophrenics, there you go. So I was thinking more along that lines. Like they see something completely different. They'll see like an actual person. I remember walking down the street one time when I was walking to high school, and there was this dude that was like, he was crazy, dude. He was on something, and he was telling me that he was walking with me, and he was like, "You see, there's fairies in the trees. they're looking down at us. And I was like, dude, get the hell away from me, bro. I'm just trying to walk to class, bro. I'm trying to get to science, bro. Trying to learn this damn chart. This dude over here talking about some damn fairies.
You know, they say that there's a fine line between genius and insanity. So maybe what he calls fairies is actually something, you know?
Who knows what's real, man?
It's true.
Yeah,
AI is getting really good now.
Editors are getting really good, too.
Yeah.
Like there's those hoax videos where like an eagle will come out of the sky and like pick up a baby and like run off with it. And then people are like, oh my gosh, what happened? And then people are like, oh gosh, this was a competition, guys, to see how real you can get the video to look.
Oh, okay.
Things like that. They even insert the shadows of the eagle coming down. And
dang, so they're getting really technical with it.
I get that there's like special effects stuff that you want to do for movies.
Yeah.
But when you have stuff like that, and especially if you get into like the political realm and stuff, dude, there's like a gnat flying around here, guys.
We're going to get him.
Yeah, we're going to get him. I got one of those electric buzzers. He's going to feel the pain later. Sorry for all the bug lovers out there. But I ain't one of them, all right?
Team people over here, y'all.
Yeah. Team Earth, Team People. Wait, can you be Team Earth and Team People at the same time?
Some people would argue that you can't, right? Because saving the environment, the people who see the human race as a cancer or a virus to the earth kind of thing. So it just depends on how you look at it.
Then I take that back. I'm Team People.
Yeah, I'm Team People.
Yeah. Screw them trees. Okay, so what were we saying? Something along the lines.
We were talking about perception versus reality.
I started saying about if things can go political, right? That's when things can start to get scary. Like you had that AI video of Joe Rogan where they completely made it from the ground up, video and audio, and he's talking about like monkeys doing like hockey and stuff like that. It sounds like him.
Oh, okay.
There's enough hours of him on the web that people can extract every single inflection that he can have and make something out of nothing.
Dang.
That's scary.
Yeah, that's tough.
Let's say if someone does it with a RTX 2060 Super. That's what I have. Then who's to say if somebody has like a way bigger thing that we're not all in a freaking living simulation right now?
That is the tough thing about simulation theory. It's that you can't unprove it. So it is possible.
I still don't understand those damn zeros and ones.
It's just like a light switch. On, off. And depending on the position of the 0 and the 1s, that is a specific value. So when you put those values together, it basically tells you like what it's actually saying.
All right. We can agree to not care about this. It's too out there for me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be in here. But yeah, we're going to go watch the Matrix, and that's going to be super cool. We're going to get to relive all of the special moments, all of the red pill, blue pill, all of the, all the crazy scenes like that. The house that's like fake, all of the going into the phones, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to be super cool, man.
Did you know that Will Smith was actually offered the part to play Neo originally?
Thank God. Thank God he didn't.
Yeah, right? He actually turned it down so he could film The Wild Wild West, which is a cool movie.
Yeah, sure.
But it ain't The Matrix.
It ain't The Matrix.
You know?
Did you know that Keanu Reeves donated like, I think it was like 80%, maybe 90% of his paycheck to the effects team?
What?
For that movie? He's goated, bro.
He's just an all-around good guy.
Yeah, what a good guy.
I've seen a lot of videos about how he like takes the subway with regular people, and he's a real salt of the earth kind of man.
Salt of the earth. I'm gonna assume that means just like down to earth.
Yeah, humble.
Yeah.
They live just like a common person kind of thing.
Okay. There's a couple phrases that they come up, and I just assume the correct thing. I assume I know what they mean. They sound good enough.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll be saying shit that like I say it, and then I'm like, did I say that right? And you're just like, no.
I gotta let him know.
You just gotta experiment, sometimes.
It's true.
Have you seen Phase Adapt? How he be unlocking new words in his vocabulary?
Nah.
Somebody will say something like a crazy word, like extravagant or something. He'd be like, extravagant. Dang. Oh, that's a new word right there. He gets so impressed by just unlocking new words in his vocabulary.
It should be perfect.
I'm gonna be honest. My camera, this is quintessential to what I'm doing.
Oh no!
Yeah, nah.
That was cold. Quintessential.
That's kind of how I am with phrases.
Oh, okay.
Unlock a meaning to a new phrase.
A little repertoire of phrases.
Like the forest for the trees, how I figured it out in episode 1.
Oh, yeah.
Like that, essentially.
If you haven't seen episode 1, go watch that.
Yes, sir.
You were talking about that scene of the red pill and the blue pill. One of the other really cool things about the Matrix that I like is the idea of how your choices affect your identity. So a lot of people have this preconceived notion of who they are, right? Like,
Okay.
I am this, I am that. And a lot of people fall into the trap of that their identity is something that is fixed. It's like, this is the person that I am. This is who I've always been. This is all I can ever be.
Yeah. Your DNA kind of laid out the roadmap for who you're going to be. Or you're
Yeah.
talking about like even further than that, like predestination type stuff.
I think both for sure, right? Because obviously genetics plays a role in how your temperament is going to be and a lot of physical traits about you. And so that is going to lend itself to also how you interact with the world. But a lot of it is shaped by your experiences, whether it be through early childhood or adolescence and even adulthood. You know, that's why people who have near-death experiences, they can change their lives and become essentially a whole new person.
How do you mean?
Well, think about it. If you have a near-death experience and you don't die, and then now you have this newfound appreciation for the life that you have, you start to look at the world differently and you start to reevaluate things that are important and things that aren't important.
Yeah. It's like that saying, every man has two lives. The second one starts when he realizes he only has one.
I've never heard that.
But you know what I'm saying?
I like that, though.
Shit pretty deep.
Yeah, that's real now.
It's real now.
So the idea that your identity is affected by your choices, right? Because through the movie The Matrix, Neo, by choosing to take the red pill, obviously it gives him access to, you know, these new abilities, which is what makes the action part of the movie so cool.
Kung Fu and whatnot.
Yeah. But the main thing is as he actually starts to believe in the things that Morpheus is telling him, that does actually change who he becomes, right? So his sense of identity starts to shift as the movie progresses.
Yeah.
And that's true for everyone. Like, you can decide right now that you are going to do something, whether that be you're going to start, you know, watching what you eat, or you're going to start exercising more, you're going to start reading more, spending time with your family more, whatever it might be. You can make choices that will change your perception of your identity. And by extension, that will also change other people's perceptions of your identity, right? Because people do this all the time. It's natural. You see somebody, you make judgments about them, you infer certain things about them based on their appearance, and that's even before, if they even talk to you.
Yeah.
Right? Because sometimes you'll see somebody and you'll have an initial impression of them, and then once you actually get to talk to them, you get surprised and you're like, oh snap, I didn't know
you're
you were like
nothing
that
like
at
I thought
all.
you were.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you're saying that you make these decisions and then you start to mold how you think of yourself, and that starts to go outward and other people start to see it afterwards.
For sure. Yeah. Because a lot of people like to talk, you know, they say things, but ultimately it's about the choices that you make. What are the actions that you're taking? Because that's going to tell you a lot more about how you actually are. I've heard this saying about how if you show me a man's calendar and his budget, I'll tell you who he is. And that's because the things that you spend money on and the things that you spend time on, which are two of the greatest human resources available on the planet, those are going to show these are the things that you prioritize. Because if you're not spending time on it and you're not spending money on it, that's essentially meaning that you're not spending energy on it. And if you're not spending energy on it, it's not important to you, regardless of what you might be saying.
How are you spending your time when no one's watching? How are you using your money when no one's taking, you know, account of what you're doing?
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? You could grow up and now you just buy whatever you want.
It is crazy, dude. Like, the fact that one day you can just sign up for a large sum of money and then just go to the store and buy all the things that you always wanted to buy. It's dangerous. It's a trap.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
For sure. Predatory, all that stuff.
Predatory lending.
Yeah.
These buy now, pay later services. Dude, the fact that you can do that now with orders of food.
Did you see the Costco hot dog?
That's probably the most famous one.
You can go in debt for $1.50.
Actually?
You can. You pay 35 cents now, 5 installments of 35 cents, whatever it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do they make those hot dogs out of?
I don't know, but they kept the price.
That's what I'm saying. They kept the price.
Yeah.
Because we all know that Costco keeps the cost low.
Yeah, they got to have deteriorated You know what? It's probably just the cost of doing business for them.
Oh, like a loss leader?
I don't know what that is, but like I assume what it is.
Yeah.
Just basically something that a company takes on and says, we're going to eat the cost on this, but it's going to bring us more customers. It's going to bring us more revenue in some other way.
That's exactly what it is.
Nice. Yeah.
Way to go.
What'd you call it?
Loss leader.
Loss leader. All right.
Yeah.
New term unlocked out there for everyone.
You're welcome.
Something that I really want to talk about is, okay, let me lay it out for you.
Okay.
Magnus Carlsen. You know, I'm obsessed with chess right now.
Yeah.
And it's probably not a right now thing. It's a probably for the rest of my life type thing.
Okay.
Because it's just so fun. And we talked about how like a lot of games have RNG, random number generation. Is that what it's called?
RNG stands for random number generator, but
Which
a
is
lot
just
of
luck.
people, it's technically not luck, but a lot of people use it interchangeably with luck.
Yeah. There's just a lot of ways that a lot of games in today's day and age can either help you win or help you lose or be your downfall or whatever, but chess doesn't have that.
Yeah.
You start with white or black, and then every move you make, every breath you take, just kidding.
I'll be watching you.
Every move you make leads to your downfall or to your victory or to a draw. But it's 100% your skill. And so you can climb up this ladder, and your ELO rating is what it's called, can continue to go up. You can face tougher and tougher competition. But basically, if you spend enough time looking at the board, and if you're smart enough, you can figure out how to outwit your opponent, which is amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
And it's an incredibly stressful game, but the payoff is so good. Like when you finally are able to figure it out. But all of this is to say, to get back to the point, is that Magnus Carlsen, he was playing this freestyle chess tournament. And it was already getting towards the end, so it's a very important game that he's playing. And his opponent made a mistake, which is different than a blunder. Okay, so he moved his rook up to F1, but he meant to move it up to F2, because if he moved it up to F2, then he would be checking the king. You're not free to check the king. So he would check the king, but he didn't. He moved it to F1, and then he let go, and then he grabbed it right away, moved it to F2 because he realized he had just made a mistake.
Yeah.
And the official jumped in and said, no, you can't do that.
Okay, I was about to say, I was like, I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to, once
Especially
you
in the
let
tournament.
go, right?
Yeah. Once you're in a tournament, like those are the rules, and no take backs.
No
right?
backsies.
Yeah. And so Magnus was like, it's okay. And then the official was like, no, like we have to stick with this. And then he was like, no, it's okay. And he just waved
Dude,
him off.
I got this.
Yeah. And so he waved him off, and it's Magnus. You know, he's ultra respected in the chess community by everyone, literally everyone. And so the official went away, and they continued the game as it was, right?
Wow.
And then there's other instances where Magnus will show up late.
Oh, okay.
So like 2 minutes go by, he's already lost 2 minutes of his time. That's a lot of time to lose.
Yeah.
He shows up, he's taking off his jacket, he's messing with his pieces, getting them all straight. He's already lost his time.
Yeah.
But when his opponents show up late, he waves up the ref and he's like, it's fine. We'll wait for them.
Bro's playing on handicaps?
He's playing on handicaps at all times. And here's my point. He has honor. He doesn't want to beat you at your worst. He wants to beat you at your best because he is the best.
Yeah.
And so he never wants to have an advantage. He'll take on a handicap just to make it funner for him, because you can tell he's just doing it to mess with his opponents. But also, it's very bad for him because he's losing a lot of time.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of money on the line, but more important than the money to him is the honor. I've got to imagine. And this is why I kind of frame it this way, because in the WNBA, which I know you don't care about too much, but...
Or at all.
Yeah, or at all. But there is this team called the New York Liberty. And they are essentially the Los Angeles Lakers. They are the New York Yankees.
Okay.
Right? They are the team that the league kind of like is pushing forward. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that's what's happening in the other leagues, but in this league specifically, they are pushing them forward. And what that team did last year is the officials essentially helped them win, allegedly. Right? So what they did was, but you can tell if there's a huge differential in the actual foul calls. If one team has like 20 more fouls called on it than another team, there's something fishy going on, especially if the ending score was like super close. It's like, there's something going on. And so just recently, the New York Liberty faced the Indiana Fever. And so you could tell that across that game, there was like a 15 to 17 foul discrepancy, and the New York Liberty won by 2 points.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking to myself, they're just bringing you there.
Yeah.
There's no honor in there. Sabrina Ionescu, all of these different players on that team, they're pretending like they won. You didn't win.
Yeah.
You were helped. You were helped win the championship, and now you were helped beat the Indiana Fever. It's blatant that these referees are getting paid off. And like, that's one thing.
Yeah.
And I know there's money involved, but you as a player, Natasha Cloud, all these people, like, what's up? Like, you're cool with this?
Mm-hmm.
You're cool with just winning because they want you to win. That's lame, bro.
That's lame.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's why I brought it up. This episode of Open Invite was brought to you by North Texas Remodeling. Look, maybe your house looks like it got into a fight with a tornado and lost. Maybe your office walls are so bleak they've got you feeling a little sad. Well, guess what, chat? You don't have to live like that, okay? North Texas Remodeling, these are real men, real drywall enthusiasts. They specialize in painting, texture, sheetrock, and ceramic tiling. That's right, ceramic tile, not that cheap stuff you get from the corner at La Pulga, all right? Are you from the DFW? Good, because that's where they work. Give them a call, 214-758-9948 for a free estimate. That's right, free. Doesn't cost you a dime. You can give them a call just to hear another human voice if you want to. Maybe you're lonely. They don't judge, okay? North Texas Remodeling. They'll fix your floors, fix your walls, and maybe, just maybe, fix your life. Let's get back to the episode.
I feel like if you are at the pinnacle of a sport, competition is something that drives you to perform, right? Like, you thrive off of that.
Yeah.
And so going back to your point earlier, I don't really understand how somebody could be excited or proud of a victory that isn't their own.
Yeah.
Right? Being helped by the officials or whatever. You were talking about the chess scene a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, is there a lot of financial incentive in that community?
Yes.
Okay.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars for major test tournaments.
Okay.
And these tournaments are the way by which your score gets raised or you earn the title of Grandmaster. All of these things are incredibly prestigious. And so, like, your online presence is really affected by how well you do at these tournaments.
Okay.
Which is why there's cheating and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And why there's so much strict security. Like, they check your ears now. They want to make sure you don't have
They got to. They want to make sure you don't have the world's smallest Bluetooth headset.
Yeah, exactly. And so even with the WNBA, like, yes, there is incentive to become the championship team.
Yeah.
If only for the fact that you are now a champion and you have a lot more access to sponsorships.
Mm.
And so obviously the WNBA, and I think anyone who watches the WNBA can see that they do not want Caitlin Clark to succeed.
Interesting.
They want the New York Liberty to be the team that is the face of the organization.
So then do you believe that Caitlin Clark is essentially getting blackballed in the WNBA?
Since she was a rookie. And it's infuriating. And right now she's injured.
Okay.
If she's not playing, they're losing crazy amounts of money. And so it's crazy to me that the league itself and everyone involved at the higher ups would do these things to sabotage the Indiana Fever.
And I've heard similar kinds of things about the NBA. So you know how after the Luka debacle with the Mavs,
Yep.
that they were able to secure the number 1 seed.
Yep.
And so a lot of people were talking about how there was a really small chance, I think it was a 1 or 2% chance basically of that happening. But because the numbers in the NBA have been declining, some people are surmising that they're doing it in order to build like this kind of storyline to make the NBA more interesting in order to get people to watch.
Yeah.
So do you think that's something that could be also happening with the NBA?
Of course, man. Like, the conspiracies, there's so many of them. And the side that I kind of take, or the position that I kind of like that I'm interested in, is like all the players in the Lakers and the people who are like Lakers fans, like, you're cool with this? You're cool with stealing the star of another team, bringing them to yours while you still have a star. And now you're essentially are, what is it? 03 Wade, the big three or whatever.
Right, yeah, the Miami Heat.
Yeah, you're them now, but like on steroids.
I think a lot of people these days just care more about winning. Damn. The prestige, the clout, the title, and having those accolades, whether or not they were actually real. And that's unfortunate because a lot of that goes back to what you were talking about earlier, having that sense of honor, you know. That is the thing that actually makes those competitive bouts truly spectacular.
Yeah.
Whether it be the people who are competing or even the people who are spectating. But those are the things that make people really go down in history. Those are the things that make people remembered.
Can you imagine if the Lakers would have won this year's finals or whatever?
I feel like people wouldn't respect it.
It's like, this is what y'all had to do to get a...
I mean, LeBron's been like that before, you know. He'll do it, whatever it takes to get a title, a championship.
I guess you have other cases that are kind of in the inverse, where it's like Sugar Sean O'Malley. Someone like called him out for like not deserving a title shot, a rematch against Merab Dvalishvili.
Okay.
They called him out in a press conference, and they were like, everyone's saying that you have Dana White privilege, right?
White privilege.
And so he responded by looking up at Dana, and he was like, thanks, Dana.
Sean, some people say you're getting something called Dana White privilege, that you're getting a quick rematch without really proving yourself as a champ. What do you think about that?
Thanks, Dana.
Wow.
He just
owned it.
Yeah. He didn't care. I respect that.
Being upfront about it.
Yeah. Because he's still going to put himself in the line of combat with Merab.
True.
He's still got to face the music.
Yeah.
But where there's stuff with like no consequences, like with LeBron or with the New York Liberty and stuff like that, I'm just like, dude, you guys are lame, and we should all boycott.
I've been boycotting the WNBA.
You're ahead of the meta.
They do it to themselves, you know?
It's not as if she wants a special whistle. She just wants fair play.
Yeah.
Let's just compete fairly.
And I respect that.
Which is what every competitive person should want in their bouts, in their matches, in their games, whatever it is.
You would hope, right? But some people, when they get competitive, it's a win at all costs kind of mentality. You know, whatever I have to do to win, I will do that.
Yeah.
As opposed to the true essence of being competitive of, I want you to do your best, I'm going to do my best, but I'm going to win.
That's why you have situations like TJ Dillashaw, whenever he got popped for EPOs. I don't know what EPO stands for, but it's a performance-enhancing drug.
Okay.
And it helps you get more cardio, which is what he needed when he was moving down.
I didn't know they made drugs like that. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah. He got beat. Henry Cejudo beat the fuck out of him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And so afterwards, they were saying like, oh, man, like, what do you think about the fact that he got popped for EPOs? He's like, I beat his ass. Like, what do I care?
For real, yeah. I mean, I'm sure, you know, if he had lost, he'd feel some type of way about it.
Yeah.
But that's just adding insult to injury right there.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, he was cheating, but he still couldn't beat me.
I guess it's a badge of honor that you beat somebody that was,
Yeah.
you're playing at a handicap.
Yeah, like in gaming, when people have videos about how they beat cheaters, those are always so satisfying to watch, dude. Because it's like you just stoop down to this level of degeneracy and somebody else beats you due to their own skill, and it just makes you look so pathetic. And there's something so satisfying about seeing somebody stoop to that level and get crushed.
Like on COD, like there's tons of videos of just people cheating, wall hacks, all sorts of stuff.
Oh yeah,
that's the funnest
Or like
shit.
streamers when their cheats pop up on stream, they're like, oh my Windows task
It was
manager.
Clara put these on my PC.
Do you guys ever get that weird glitch in CSGO where it shows your rank? It shows everyone's rank? Clara, let me just message this girl. Give me 1 second. Why the fuck is this on my computer right now?
Dang, dude. Yeah, cheaters, bad, in my opinion.
Cold take, cheating, bad. So you were talking about how people need to band together, right? And they need to combat this. But my concern is that I feel like people just aren't doing that anymore. Prime example, the Nintendo Switch 2.
Oof.
Prime example of a case where it's like everybody should be on the same page about this.
Yeah.
But there is just this insurmountable amount of people who are just...
The FOMO's too strong.
They're going to take it.
Yeah. They took the bait.
Why don't you tell me about... Why don't you...
So
let
kind of the way
audience
that
know?
this is going is that like the console is too expensive. The games are too expensive. And they thought that everyone would just be on board with this. And then they're even taking it a step further, adding insult to injury. And like the physical games are still more expensive than the digital games, but they're like essentially a brick, essentially a box that you can put on your shelf. And they're charging for every little thing that you can think of. They're trying to insert every little service that you can think of. They're inserting it behind a paywall. And so it's like if you actually want to get started playing in the Switch 2 and invest in that ecosystem, it's going to cost you a whopping $800 to $900 to $1,000.
Yeah, and I think the gaming industry as a whole, they need to be very careful about how they're coming about with this next generation of gaming, because everybody's looking at GTA 6.
How much is that going to cost?
Right? Supposedly GTA 6 will be $100.
Yeah.
It could be more.
And some of these Switch games might cost $100. You're telling me that Mario Kart 9 is GTA 6? That's what you're telling me right now?
Definitely not. But because Rockstar has essentially the most popular franchise in video game history with the Grand Theft Auto series, GTA 5 has been out for like over 10 years or something like that.
It's a crazy amount. I cannot believe that people are still playing that game.
And they've re-released it, I don't know how many times, but people are still playing GTA 5. It all started to happen because GTA 6 was announcing how revolutionary their game is going to be and that they're going to be charging, you know, a hefty price tag for it. So other game studios decided, okay, so we have one of our competitors that's going to be raising the price on their games.
Yeah.
Let's take advantage of this opportunity and let's start raising the prices of our games as well.
Is this essentially an oligopoly?
It's almost a form of price fixing.
Ooh.
The problem is that these game studios, they're not Rockstar Games.
Yeah.
You're not making GTA 6. So studios are charging way more for these games than the average person is able to spend. And with all the variety of games that you have, you're not going to be able to play every game. And especially with the prices that they're coming at. So we're seeing this slow creep of video game prices. And Nintendo's riding that wave because they know they can.
Yeah.
You know? They have...
You know why? Because the Nintendo fan base is pathetic.
They're pathetic.
Don't get me wrong. I'm part of that.
And I am not.
I have to not buy into this crap.
Every person that I know who is a Nintendo person, they have told me I am not buying the Switch 2 this time.
Thank goodness. But also, it's sold out.
Exactly.
So
clearly there's not enough people.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is to your point. That's the whole point, the reason that you started this thread.
Yeah.
And things are turning into gaming as a service now. That is just gaming as a service.
Yeah.
You're subscribing to be a gamer, essentially.
Okay. Yeah.
It used to be like that with like Xbox Live. Remember that? Where you'd have to buy like codes at 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Go home with a little Mountain Dew.
Honestly, though, Xbox Live, that was a ripoff. Because PlayStation got to play online for free.
But they didn't have Halo. It was so a ripoff.
It's true. They didn't have Halo.
But man, those days were fun, man.
Yeah.
I remember the first time that we played somebody who was playing online. Like all of us got together and there was this other group of people that were like, oh yeah, we'll beat your ass. And we're like, yeah, right. Because we used to play LAN against each other.
Oh, okay.
And so they came over and we played 2v2 LAN against them in Halo 2. It
Doubles?
was probably Halo 3. Yeah, doubles. And they beat our ass bad, dude. And we were just like, what the hell? Like, how are you guys so good? And they're like, it's because we play online. And it's like, dude, we're over here playing against each other.
Right.
We kick each other's feet. These guys are over here playing against the world and losing to them, but way better than us.
Right.
You know, their skill is going up.
Yeah. Online multiplayer gaming really shed light on just how you're not as good as you actually think you are when it comes to playing the game. You might be, you know, if you have siblings, you might be the best player out of your siblings. If you have a friend group, you might be the best player out of your friend group. But once you zoom out and you have the entire world as your player base, everybody's going to be the best player out of their friend group. Everybody's going to be the best player at their school, you know?
So imagine being number one at something in a leaderboard. Holding on to that position must be life-altering.
It's got to be.
You got to spend all your time on that to remain number one.
And will people remember you? I'm
sure Magnus Carlsen.
I'm sure some randos will remember.
Yeah.
Your username. Yeah, they were number one in the leaderboards.
And if you got a game that's like evergreen, like chess, then, and if you're Magnus Carlsen, then you are, you know what I was thinking about? Hikaru Nakamura, the number 2. I talked about him in the last episode. He is like one of the first number 2s that is like they honor him as the number 2. And he knows he's never going to beat Magnus Carlsen.
Wow.
In his lifetime. He knows it.
Vegeta IRL.
Oh, Hikaru is Vegeta. But he accepts it and he's still trying to beat him, but he just can't. He's just that much better than everyone else.
Wow.
And of course there are other people that are like making their way up there.
Yeah.
But for the vast majority of competitive players, there's a huge gap. But that's why they honor him as a number 2.
How does that Nelly song go? I am number 1. 3 is not a winner, and 2 nobody remembers.
Yeah. Sheesh. That motherfucker has some hits.
Bro, I heard the song with him and Tim McGraw in the car the other day.
Oh, that's right.
Over and over again.
Yeah.
I was like, dang, dude. This was the song that probably actually like let me dip my toe into country music. Which is not even really a country song. It's still like a hip hop song with
the original Old Town Road.
Yo, you might have just said some real stuff right there.
Nelly was a pioneer
For sure.
in a lot of different ways.
And he was ghetto.
Yeah.
Like, he was from the dirty.
What was under that Band-Aid?
A pimple.
Damn.
The original TikTok star pimple patches. It wasn't, though, for people who actually know about the whole Band-Aid thing. So he had a homie that was locked up in jail. And so he used the Band-Aid on his face as a symbol of, like, my boy's in pain. So as long as he's in jail, I'm in pain, too. So I'm hurting. It's a little corny, but
also kind of cool.
Yeah. It's
You
like
know?
he's down for his boys.
Imagine if it was done that with the teardrops. My boy killed somebody, so... It's like, hey, bro, that's a stolen valor.
Stolen valor.
For murder.
In an episode of Could Have Been auditions for Drewski, this dude walks up and he's wearing camo pants, and Drewski's like, "You ever serve in the military?" He's like, "No." "You ever do any kind of combat service?" He's like, "No." Get him the fuck out of here. Stolen valor. This guy's wearing camo.
Do you ever seen that one where that guy walks up to Kanye and they're on like a table at a gym or something, and he's like, he throws the CD. He's like, "That's my shit. Play that."
The guy who's just as Kanye is Kanye.
Yeah, when Kanye met his match. And so that was like an early version of like Could Have Been records.
That's true.
Yeah, play that clip.
Demonetized.
Instantly. Channel nuked. 3 strikes at once.
Kanye account banned.
We'll be right back.
One of the questions that I had for you when talking about the movie The Matrix, one of the ideas that they have is that knowledge begets liberation. And so kind of the opposite of that, you could argue, is ignorance is bliss. How do you feel about either one of those two?
I do think that ignorance is bliss. And there are times when I wish I was a normie. You know, and like just kind of like stay out of all this stuff. Like don't wake up and start like looking at world news and politics and all that stuff. I just wish I could just actually turn that part of my brain off. I feel like you could be so much more effective at your goals if you did that.
Yeah.
You know, but if you start caring about things that are external like that, then like I think it just slows you down a lot. And so I do think that ignorance is bliss. The other thing that you said was knowledge begets power, or knowledge begets
liberation.
Yeah.
I get like what people mean when they talk about knowledge is power. I feel like I've just heard it so often that it's kind of corny to me. But more so, I feel like knowledge is potential, right? Because action is power. Like action is what makes things happen. But I understand what they mean by they're talking about knowledge is power, because you have information that allows you to make these decisions. And so in that, you have that power. But I see it more as knowledge is potential.
I see that.
By understanding these things, whether it be things about the objective world that we live in, right? Or things about yourself, that liberates you, because now you have a better sense of self, a better idea of what your identity is. And it's like that saying of you can't fix a problem if you don't know that you have one.
Yeah.
So you have to really take a look at yourself and see, who am I? Is this who I want to be? And what can I do to change that? Because everybody has patterns, but we're never really observing ourselves. It's really easy to point them out at other people, but you seldom are able to do it in the same way with yourself.
Remember when the dean from Community goes, it's hard to see our cards until they're all laid out in front of us. And then he runs away crying.
Thank you for being so nice about it.
Yeah. We'll put that clip in. But yeah, that's essentially this.
Yeah.
It's hard to see our cards until they're all laid out in front of us.
Yeah.
And can you remind me of like that concept of like every man should have this person, and this person in their life?
Oh, yeah. So basically there's like 3 levels of people that you should always have. You need to have somebody who is above you, someone who's at your level, and someone below you. And so obviously the person above you is for guidance. That's going to be your mentor. That's the person who's going to help you to get to the places where you want to go. And then you have the person who's on your level. This is somebody that you have for camaraderie, right? This is somebody that you can vent to. This is somebody that you can grow with. And this is somebody that you can use to still help you achieve things that you want to achieve. But you're working in a sense of more so that we're on a level playing field.
Yeah.
Whether it be that you use them as a rival, and I mean that in a motivational sense, not so much in like a...
I don't want Batman to die. What would I do without him? Type shit.
I'm a man of my word. Do I really look like a guy who has a plan?
There you go. No, Batman.
The podcast evolves into us just doing Batman stuff. Let me expecting one of us with the records, brother.
I was molded by it.
This bomb is mobile.
Oh, but
We are
what
not
we're
leaving
saying-
this in.
So
I was saying knowledge begets liberation. Oh, we were talking about the 3 levels
yeah,
of
and
men.
so the reason that I asked that is because who is the one that keeps it real with you? Is it the one at your level?
Yeah.
Because
It's
you need to
gotta-
have someone that keeps it real with you.
Yeah, it's got to be the one at your level, because the third person is going to be the person that you are guiding, the person that you're giving back to.
Your mentee,
Right?
yeah.
So that's your way of paying it forward from you having a mentor. You have this source of knowledge that you're, how do I want to say
That
this?
you almost wish you would have gotten at a younger age. Like you want to pass off the mistakes and the like the knowledge of the mistakes and like the ways to get ahead, the life hacks, all that stuff
Yeah.
that someone else can use at a younger age than you had it.
Exactly. And so that's just a way for you to be able to pay it forward. You were lucky enough to have somebody like that, so you want to continue to pass that on. Much like we talked about in episode 1, with the whole point of living is to take the lessons that you've learned and pass it on to the next generation.
L-I-V-I-N.
Livin. Live in.
How are there some people that just find their ways into these episodes? Matthew McConaughey, Kanye, Magnus Carlsen.
Maybe.
You know, I agree. We need to have those people. And then sometimes I think that you see people that don't have that third person that's below them.
There's people who don't have any of those people.
Oof, just a rogue,
Yeah.
lone wolf. Feels bad.
Lone wolf sounds cool.
It does, but that's not what I don't mean it in a cool
Yeah,
way.
I was like, I don't think you mean it like that, but
Somebody that's banished. I don't know.
lonely wolf.
Lonely wolf. Damn. The Akons of the world. Get wrecked. That was a good song.
Which one?
Lonely?
Ah,
That's what the reference was.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You went over your
I freaking missed that one.
Damn. Can we put a laugh in post? Get wrecked.
That was actually really good.
I actually, what do you call it? When I was like putting in that fake like reaction or whatever, that was the actual reaction that I had when I actually tasted it.
That's true, actually.
And now it looks fake.
I remember that you tried to offer me one of those, and you're like, "Would you like a sparkling water?" And then I looked at the back, and I saw 4 grams of added sugar. I said, "My boy, this is a soda." Albeit probably way better than an actual soda.
This one says 0 grams of carbs.
But that's LaCroix,
Okay.
not Liquid Death.
Yeah, Liquid Death out here pretending to be something they're not.
Drewski really meant it when he said, "I'm not a big health guy." It's like, yeah, you're not, because you're drinking sugar water.
And then I looked at Coke Zero, and I was like, this one has even less. That's 0 calories.
Yeah.
Which I still don't understand how that works.
They use artificial sweeteners.
But how do artificial sweeteners have 0 calories?
Okay, so this is just how calories work. There's only 4 things that can contribute to calories.
Okay.
And those are proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, otherwise known as fats,
Yep.
and alcohol.
Okay.
And so if the thing that you are consuming does not contain any one of those 4 things, it has no calories. A great example are cucumbers. Cucumbers are primarily water. They do not have carbohydrates, they do not have proteins, and they do not have lipids or fats. And they don't have alcohol.
Can someone survive off of just cucumbers, you think?
No, you can't.
Damn.
Because calories are a form of energy. And so your body, just to stay alive, has a resting metabolic rate, RMR.
Yeah.
And so it burns a certain amount of calories or energy in order to facilitate all of the subconscious functions there, or all the autonomous functions that you don't have to worry about.
Like breathing.
Yeah. Pumping blood.
Ooh.
I used to tell people all the time, I was like, you should be so thankful that your body does so many things for you automatically. Imagine if you actually had to put effort to grow, like to get tall. You know how many short people would be walking around the world
Yeah,
if you
dude.
had to put
Everybody.
effort into getting tall? It just happens. You just exist.
Let's say you have an asthma attack. I don't know if it's actually like if it's a neurological thing or if it's like something that's happening that's not allowing you to breathe. But then you tell them like, calm down, like, all right, breathe. And then they, yeah.
I forgot to breathe.
Yeah. They forget how to breathe and you can remember how to breathe.
I actually breathed.
Breathed what?
I actually used to breathe incorrectly when I was younger. I don't remember exactly how I realized I was breathing wrong, but you're supposed to breathe. When you inhale, your stomach is supposed to expand.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of times, especially as kids, I feel like this was really common, that when you tell a kid to take a deep breath in, they puff up their rib cage and then their stomach sucks in.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
And that's the wrong way to go about
You
it.
watch babies sleeping.
Right?
They breathe right.
Like a little balloon.
Yeah. Holding these balloons.
I knew you were going to go with the balloons. Little water balloon.
Ignorance is definitely bliss for them. All they worried about is sucking a bottle and getting coddled up.
Do you think it's stressful to be a baby?
No.
They do be crying.
They're
Like,
grateful. They don't know how good they have it.
that is true. Yeah. But I mean, they have to get stressed, right? Like when they're hungry and when they want to get changed, I have to imagine that is very uncomfortable for them.
Yeah, I think it gets to a point where it's like they need what they're trying to communicate, but they can't communicate, so they just cry.
So they just cry.
Because isn't it like that every cry means a different thing? If they're crying like this, it means that they're this. If they're crying like that, it means that they're that.
That's true. And that's actually one of the things that I am looking forward to. Hopefully.
Diagnosing your baby's cries?
Yeah. When I reach that point in my life, when I have children, I am actually very confident that once they start crying, I will be able to discern the different types of cries and what they mean.
They'll have the perfect pitch of crying.
Exactly. Yeah. This cry means they're hungry.
Imagine putting little babies, having them fight each other. Little baby cockfights.
Baby. Hey, yo.
Damn it.
Demonetized.
We're not leaving it in. This video was not made for kids. We have no idea where this ended up, guys. So for you guys watching, thank you so much. The conversation kind of went all over the place, but we do need to end it because we're running low on memory. And thank you guys so much for watching and for having us as a duo back together again. Andrew in front of the camera. Is that what that's called? You're
Being in front of the camera?
Yeah, you're in front of the camera. And so we're going to try to do this more often. And we hope that you guys enjoy. Anything that you want to say to the people?
Let us know if this is something that you guys enjoy. If not, then I'll just... That's all.
Yo, I'd like to give some shout outs. Alexis the Young God, Eliza, let's see, who else? Hazelnut. Dang. All these people that like always commenting. Nick, for sure. Fern's Chili. All these people who are commenting all the time. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. And we'll see you on the next one.
Peace.
Oh, also, this episode is sponsored by North Texas Remodelings for all your remodeling needs. We'll see you guys next time. Like and subscribe.